I'm Stefanie Lugo.
And I'm Bryce.
And welcome to our channel. We are professional realtors with My Home Group Real Estate here in sunny Phoenix, Arizona. And we are obsessed with helping buyers and sellers navigate the real estate sales process here in our home state of Arizona. If you're into that kind of thing, be sure to hit subscribe to this channel to be notified every time we're dropping new videos just like this. So Bryce, in our last video, we gave a market update for September 2021, and we mentioned that the iBuyer activity that we're seeing here in Metro Phoenix is really doing some strange things to the housing market. So we figured it was time to do kind of a deep dive video on what iBuyers are and how their effects on the market actually create an impact for just your regular buyers and sellers out there.
All right. So let's identify what iBuyers actually are. These are companies that are coming to Phoenix, other markets as well, that are just buying properties not in bulk, but in a way that is made easy for sellers in order to take the properties and flip them, put them right back on the market, and sell them to other home buyers. And
Phoenix is kind of a hotbed. And I have my theory on why it's Phoenix, but why do you think it's Phoenix?
Well, I mean, you have affordable housing to begin with. When iBuyers did start coming out here, housing prices were much more affordable, and we have such a growing population. It's easy for them to turn the property and put it right back out there for sale.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money. And the only other thing that I would add to that is the way that our urban sprawl is. We have these master plan communities with very similar type homes, similar size, similar conditions, similar year built, and that makes that scalability model for them really easy to replicate, because if they can like flip it successfully in one neighborhood, they know that they could probably do it again, give or take a little bit of the percentage of increase.
Yeah, I would agree. It's an easy way to run a business here.
So in terms of like who are the big players right now that you're seeing?
Open Door, OfferPad, Zillow. Those are the three.
Yeah.
Redfin, I think, is doing some iBuying.
In terms of like what they're actually doing right now, we saw in the last year during the pandemic, while the market was just really kind of screwy all over the place, and while the stock market was also a little screwy all over the place, their participation in the resale market almost halted to a stop, which was crazy.
They canceled a ton of contracts that they were buying, or a ton of contracts on homes that they were buying. It kind of put a lot of sellers in bad positions, because those sellers are likely buying. So like the purpose of an iBuyer, not purpose, but for some sellers, the purpose of an iBuyer allows them flexibility to go and purchase a home without necessarily having to be contingent on a risky buyer. So they have a cash buyer in the iBuyer when they're presenting an offer to purchase something or a new build or whatever it is. And so it can be advantageous to some sellers. But last year, buyers that are building or under contract for purchase were getting canceled on because iBuyers just kind of shut down for a little bit.
For sure, which really sucked. And I think that like it's a pretty small segment of the market that iBuyers are a really good fit for. So it is like those sellers that really need things on their terms, or they need a very quick, sure thing sale, but they're willing to pay for it in a little extra in fees.
Yeah, I mean, especially in like a competitive market right now, I mean, for some sellers, it can make sense. Or with COVID, it can make sense. I mean, you don't want any bunch of people through your house. So for some sellers, that has been a big advantage. But depending on your buying situation, like your follow-up after you sell to the iBuyer, or resale, it can really help for certain people. But it isn't, I mean, I don't think you're going to get more money.
Well, I think we've seen that in our experiences with them, because just because there's an iBuyer there doesn't mean real estate agents are not involved, right? Like, because we are able to represent buyers who are purchasing homes from these firms all the time.
Yeah.
We just had a closing last week where there was a situation. And we can also even represent sellers in their sale as they're selling their home to iBuyers as well. So like, we have so many of these different experiences, and we see the net sheets, the bottom line at the end of the day. They're definitely paying for the convenience, I would say.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
I would say so, because you're going to be paying their fees. You're going to still be paying commission fees that they put on top of the fees that they're selling. But a lot of times, if you're, I mean, with what you were talking about, if you're unrepresented with selling to an iBuyer, you may be risking getting top dollar because, and it's not like they're necessarily going to be taking advantage of you, but you don't have someone helping you, provide value to your home. Like, what is your home actually worth? They're giving you a price, and you and them, they are agreeing to it rather than getting the support from someone who can help you get more.
Yeah. And their basis of offering on value is from an algorithm, right? So it's almost like the Zillow's estimate thing where they're just like, boop, 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 here's your number. And it's not really based on any work you've done on the interior, the condition of the actual home. I don't know if
they've come out and do an assessment, and it's possible that you can get an adjustment of value, but I still don't think that you're necessarily going to be getting the most value. But convenience, can go a long way.
100%.
And you might pay for that.
So with all of this activity, in our last video, we shared how they have really stepped up hugely over the last 3 months in terms of how many properties they're acquiring. And they're accounting for nearly 9% of resale purchases right now, which is higher than they've ever been. They're more active than they've ever been, with a total of almost 3,000 transactions over the last 3 months.
Yeah.
So what does that affect on the actual market?
Well, it's harder on buyers that are trying to buy homes, right now on the market, but the hope is that they do come back to the market, meaning those homes that the iBuyers are purchasing. But when it comes to adding to inventory, it can make it difficult when they aren't hitting the market right away. And then a lot of those homes are being sold from the iBuyers to investors that are turning them into rentals before you even see them hit the market. So you do have a control of inventory by the iBuyers where they are keeping some homes from hitting the market.
Yeah, it's kind of like a two-edged sword. Like, I don't know if that's the right analogy, but two things are happening there where the homes that do return back to the market, because what they're doing when they acquire the home, they might slap on some paint, clean it up a little bit, and they're putting it right back on the home, flipping it in a way for a markup. So a lot of that work, any standard homeowner can do a lot of that work in some situations. Yeah. And that's just like, putting in some sweat equity. That's part of homeownership, how a lot of people have been able to get good deals on homes that aren't like absolutely perfectly done, right? They build that equity into the purchase by taking on that work. And so when these iBuyers are doing that and they're flipping it and putting it up, they're putting it up at a higher price, they're taking that sweat equity, and that's kind of their margin, and that is causing buyers to pay a higher price for the same home than if they had just been able to take on that project themselves.
That's one way that they're putting the price up higher. The other is that they're reducing inventory by, selling some of the homes to investors, and then they're just, taking the resale part of it out of the market. So you've got lower inventory that way. Yeah.
And we are seeing, part of what's causing that to happen is rent prices in Metro Phoenix have just skyrocketed. Like our buyers think that the resale prices have gone up high, and they have. It's been astronomical just comparatively to what we've seen in years past. But rent has done that, if not more. And so investors who acquire and hold properties for rentals are happy to dish that higher market price because the reward is there in terms of the higher rental price. So they'll make it up over time. Yeah. And that makes it super hard for traditional buyers who are just looking for places to live.
Yeah. So, I mean, the traditional buyer doesn't have just the iBuyer to compete with. They do have the cash investors, and there's a lot of them that are buying thousands of homes right now throughout the valley.
Yeah. We come across those situations where we'll be speaking with individuals who are representing these just kind of faceless investor groups who come in and they're like, whatever you can buy.
Yeah.
So let's talk about our role as real estate agents with iBuyers, because I just think that if we're talking about your home, whether you're buying it or selling it, as a member of the public, it is likely your largest investment. And anytime that transaction is going to trade hands, I think it is really ill-advised to do it without representation. So that's why we love helping our buyers and our sellers who are exploring options with iBuyers and teaching them what their rights are and how they can make the most of that transaction. So let's talk about specifically how we're helping there. With sellers, we can start with that. So say we get a seller, they are considering talking to an iBuyer or getting one of these like instant offers. How are you helping them proceed through that situation?
Well, it goes to, what I was saying earlier. I mean, they're going to be presenting you a price, and if you don't have someone on your side helping you out, determining the value of your property, you just might be taking what they're offering or taking that at, face value, like that's what it's worth because that's what they said it's worth. But without having somebody there to represent you and show you the value of your home, you're going in kind of against them, even though they're going to present it or possibly present it like they're there for you to help, provide the convenience. So representing sellers, we're able to help them just get more generally. Although I will say, and I meant to add this earlier, something that we've been seeing, I've been talking to some other real estate agents about this, is we've been seeing some of these iBuyers overpay for homes right now just to command some of the market. So, I mean,
because they're so trying to increase their market share.
And that's just, we're seeing people sell. We're talking to people about it right now, where they're able to get an offer from the iBuyers that are sometimes astronomical. But, if you have someone helping against the iBuyer, you might be able to get even more.
Yeah.
Because once you do have that contract with them, they can beat you up on price when it comes to, repairs that need to be done. And in this market, some sellers don't have to do too many repairs. You can sell your home almost in the condition it's in without having to take up too much time putting things into place where, small damages to the property or whatever. But these iBuyers will hit you hard.
Yeah, they'll hit you hard on the repair request, and a lot of times that, correct me if I'm wrong, looks like price reductions at the end.
Yeah,
right?
It is. Yeah.
So what kills me is there are plenty of like home buyers who are willing to pay that price. Not the iBuyers, like traditional home buyers are willing to pay that price and do the work just to make sure that they have a great place to live. So like, even though it sounds really convenient going through an iBuyer, as someone who wants to fight for the little guy, always like the opportunity to at least put it on the market to have traditional home buyers have a stab at it. Because if you hit the conditions right, if the property is marketed properly with, the expertise from professional realtors on your side, you can get some pretty incredible deals with less headache without dealing with these big investor corporations. All right, so let's talk from the buyer perspective on the other side of that coin.
Yeah. Okay. So the benefit to having an agent when you're going up against an iBuyer, I'll just say, like, on the sale side, is one of the biggest things is going to be the repair side of it, the inspections, due diligence. So if you go in there by yourself, they might advise you to go get a home inspection, but does it stop there? And then what are you doing about repairs? What are you going to get from them in terms of repairs? Yes, we just talked about how buyers should, in this market, can go into it being willing and ready to take things on. But when you're going up against an iBuyer, you might have, the ability, at least from our experience, to get them to take care of some of the work and then get a credit for the things that they don't want to take care of. And we're good at doing that.
You specifically are one of the best agents at winning those wins for clients throughout the entire transaction. And as you're saying this, one thing that I think of too is like a lot of these guys, they might have like a presence here, but they don't know the homes in the neighborhoods like you and I do. And we know that there are some parts of town or some neighborhoods that just tend to have common issues. Yeah, common
issues.
Yeah, so like we know what parts of town tend to have problematic sewage.
Yeah.
We know what parts of town tend to have plumbing issues like polybutylene in the builders that they were using in the 90s, 80s, 90s.
Yeah, I think if you go into a transaction without an agent, even buying, and the iBuyers make it easy for you in the sense of, you just show up and you download an app and then you're inside the front door. But in terms of getting the help and knowing what to look for, you're not going to get that if you're going at it alone.
Yeah.
And again, it's kind of like buying a new build. You're told that you're essentially being helped by the seller, with the new build community, same thing with like the sales reps in there. They want to build the confidence in you that you are getting helped by them, but they're there for the seller. They're not there to help you out and get the best for you and get these repairs taken care of and negotiate a price. Definitely advantageous to have someone on your side.
Yeah, I agree. And it's going to be different for everybody. So we actually have a link in the show notes in the caption below where you can book a time to chat with us. Totally no pressure, no strings. We're not here to sway you one way or another. But if you're looking to see what this might look like for you in your unique situation, whether you're looking to buy or sell, book a time with us to chat. Tell us what's on your mind, and we can show you your options and kind of give you a little bit of guidance on what might be the best way to proceed in a situation like this. Well, I think we covered everything. So if there's anything that we did not cover, if you have any other questions, right, definitely leave them in the comments. We can chat there too. Yeah. Or reach out. And the best way to get a really quick response from us on these little questions on the fly is probably to hit us at Bryce and Stefanie, our Instagram account where we're hanging out every day and sharing new tips and just updates on the market on Instagram.
Thanks for hanging out with us. We will see you next week.